Okay, interview starting now. And we're live. It's Adam Robinson, founder and CEO of retention.com. With me is the wonderful Megan Blissick, head of agency partnerships at retention.com. I'm so excited for this conversation today, Megan, because I, quite frankly, have a bunch of questions that I want to ask you that we just talked about. And I think other people would be curious too. So, question number one I have for you: why is agency partnerships so important to us at retention.com right now?
Yeah. So, as I'm sure you know, retention.com is not super well known just yet. We've grown from 6 people as of October last year to I think almost 50 now.
Almost 50. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're making big moves, and one of the things that I find so valuable in the partnership space is truly the legitimacy that a valuable partnership brings to an organization. Being able to endorse different products, different tech tools coming from some leaders in this industry, and those leaders really fall in those agency spaces. They're the ones that have worked with these clients head on for 10, 20 plus years. They're the ones that actually do all this homework and research on new and emerging tech, and they're the ones that can ultimately make those recommendations and validate that it's a real product and it's a really good product. So it's really important for us to be able to put our name out there, not just in the ether, but also with some of those trusted advisors in the space.
I love that. I agree completely. So, this next one, what are the steps to building a partner program? I want to ask that, and then I kind of want to put a B to it. Like, I also personally believe that, we hired Laz in February and you in March. We waited 3 years to make that hire. So, what are the steps to building a partner program, and can you be too early to take those steps? Is the question.
Yeah, you can certainly be too early. I think it can be really challenging because again, that legitimacy that we're building, if you're not ready to go to market, if you're not ready on what your product actually is or what your value prop is, then you're burning social capital by saying like, yeah, let's partner, introduce us to all your clients, which by the way, please don't do that. Anyone that's in partnerships, please don't. So building a valuable partner program, I think there's a couple of things that have to be set up before you get in front of partners, and that is you need to have your value prop extremely clear. What does your product do? How does it help those customers? What's the ideal customer profile? One thing I always see in partnerships that makes me cringe is like you need to know who is not your customer as well as you need to know who is your customer, because your partners aren't going to advocate for you if it's going to make them look bad. And if they spend their time saying, oh yeah, you should do this product, and then it doesn't integrate or it doesn't work on that platform, then you've just wasted their time. You've made them look bad in front of their customers. So you really need to have a very clear value proposition, ICP, and also a way to continuously communicate with your entire organization. If I talk to another partner manager and we just like hang out on the phone every couple of weeks, like that's not actually going to benefit either of our companies. We need ways to get in front of other people, other stakeholders within the team, someone that can answer more technical questions, someone that actually help with marketing, any social promotion. So having at least the infrastructure built out is really important before showing up to someone's store.
Yeah, I love that. It's so tempting. I know because I've been there a couple times. Early on, especially when you have a self-serve product that's kind of interesting, agencies are signing up left and right just to see what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And it's so tempting to be like, well, why don't we just hire someone now, like month 3, to go out and do this? And I think you're absolutely right. We saw it a little bit in our business.
Yeah.
We just should have been and we don't know what the number is, but like should have been limiting GMV of stores that they were recommending to something that was like higher than whatever, 10,000 website visits. I think it's a really insightful answer. So one thing that I know we talk about is balancing the short game of getting partner intros and the long game of, signing partners up and starting this dance with them. It's just a difficult thing to manage. How do you think about that from your seat, and how does that sort of change as time goes on?
Yeah, you're right. It's hard because you're always, when you have an interesting product and you have, again, these are leaders of the industry. They're going to go do their homework with or without you. So they're going to make an account. They're going to try and download it. They're going to start introducing to their customers. So you'll have like a subset that'll really just be pushing their customers onto it, utilizing the product, and then you have a subset that you really want to go to market with. You want to build that relationship with. You want to show up at the same events. You want to do white papers together. You want to really establish your place together. So short game, I think, is really education based, right? Like make sure that everyone is educated on your product, on how it works, on who it works for, on all those kind of key elements that we say make a partner program successful. And then long game, as a company evolves, like our product changes, our offering changes, pricing changes, all of these things shift as we start to really find what segment of the market hits best. And as you hone in on that market segment, the partners that best match that market segment will become more clear over time. So at first, like I say, absolutely open the doors, get everyone educated up to speed, and that can be product demo requests, that can be one-on-one, that can be, honestly, I love a good like product update that comes from an internal org, like getting someone that's really technically heavy out there for half an hour to just answer questions that partners have. I find that incredibly valuable. And then that will also help those partners self-select in a case of like, oh, we really have a ton of value here. Let's put all our eggs in this basket. Let's go to market together, versus the ones that are like, if someone tells me they need this product, I'll send over my referral link.
Yeah, right. So like kind of like an Ask Me Anything webinar. Yeah. With just that they could all come to. That sounds like it would be incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I'd love to do like an education session too. Yeah. Like, because and we saw this at Shop Talk. Everyone knows the name. Now they need to know the product. Who are we? What do we do? How does it work? So making sure that you have general access to that for your partners and that they understand the best way to put this in place is going to help them identify, is this a valuable relationship to move forward with?
Cool. It's been noted in my mind, at least.
With Adam, it's coming up short.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the team look like today versus what it's going to look like, call it in 12 or 24 months?
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys keep telling us to hire more people. So right now it's 3 of us. Our lovely leader, Alex Lazoff, is our VP of Partnerships. I'm our head of agency partnerships, and then we just brought on Albert as our West Coast partner manager. So between the 3 of us, I would say we have about a collective 10 plus years of partner experience. So we're really going heavy on bringing in, for lack of a better term, heavy hitters in the partners space, because a lot of this really is relationships. We're bringing a community together around a product. That's really what partnerships comes down to, and we're utilizing that trust that we have in our networks to ensure that we know the right people to bring in, and we know the right people that are going to work best with our product, and they're going to be the most benefited by working together. So what we're really trying to do right now is make sure that we're covering all of our bases. We're getting all the right agencies, at least in my book, up to speed on what we do, and then as we continue to develop the product, I see so much opportunity space to expand more into the digital marketing agency space, more into the creative space. So as we continue to grow and hone in on what we do best and where we drive the most value, we're going to keep building out that partner team to make sure that we're getting that information out to the folks that need it the most.
Great. How are each of the members of the team evaluated? And then part B to that question is, do you have other sort of intrinsic measures that you hold yourself to that do not, that are not necessarily included in like the numbers or whatever it is?
Yeah, of course. There's always numbers to tie to a partner org. And I think that sometimes it can be too heavy on the numbers, actually. There's a difference between a sales ROI and a partner ROI. And when you have teams that understand that, like this team, then you're able to invest in some of those long-term investments with these relationships that are going to take a lot of time to build. They're larger organizations. You have a lot more people to get in front of. So I lost my train of thought.
Sales different than partner ROI. We're playing the long game, and then sort of, do you have an intrinsic, measure that's sort of different than what you're getting?
Yeah, partner, and it was partner goals. So yeah, so what we're goaled on internally right now is signing up and educating new partners. So getting new partners signed and enabled, as well as, of course, bringing in leads for the business. We're really developing a partner-led org, and we can chat on that more. But as we build that out, we need to also be able to track that ROI. The more intangible measures, and I would say these are just kind of intrinsic to Alex, Albert, and myself, are how are we showing up in this space? Like, are we showing up with complementary products? So are we sponsoring or showing up at events with other players that we tend to be in the tech stack with? Do people know who retention.com is? Like, I know brand awareness campaigns, someone from the digital marketing sphere is going to like throw their phone at the computer hearing this, but it really does matter who knows who we are. And if anything, of being here for a short time, I've had a lot of conversations that at least start with, yes, I've heard of you guys. And that's something that I want it to be a constant. Any room that we go in, I want someone to have heard of us already. And then they're curious and they want to know more, or they have bad opinions and I want to educate them on it. So those are some of those metrics I would say all of us kind of hold true. And the third one is like I would say a positive brand affinity, right? Like how you're measured tends to be who talks about you, like how do people talk about you when you're not in the room. And I love working with people that I tell people who's on my team and they're so excited and they only have kind things to say. It's kind of a constant outpouring of love in our community. So I really want to make sure that we're continuing to represent this brand really well, and that we're actually able to educate and bring everyone to the table, as well as to provide pipeline for the company itself.
Yeah, some interesting thoughts about that. One, purchasing retention.com was a big thing because I think people think that they've heard of it, but they've heard the word, and then I think the first thing that we had done to raise awareness is this founder brand work that I'm doing. So I think that made its way around the ecosystem, but still I get this criticism a lot. It's not about our product, but I'm trying to figure out how it, can be more or whatever. But those are,
like,
what's that?
It'll be with time. That's what building a partner
so.
program is, and that's what coming to market is, because the second thing I hear is, I have heard of you guys, but just now, right? Like, I didn't hear of you a year ago. I hadn't heard of you before. And that's just what comes with time, is like having someone else that can say, oh yeah, I've talked to retention.com, here's what they do. And that's why the education is so important, because it's going to be secondhand to clients, it's going to be secondhand to partners, it's going to be secondhand throughout the e-commerce ecosystem. So we need to continuously be putting our best foot forward and showing off the brand.
And the brand affinity thing is, if I could pick one thing to spend my time on, and it's a lot of it, it's probably everything is indirectly related to it that I do. I just think it's so important. And part of it is what you said, with having the right people that have the right reputation, and they're just wonderful and they're beaming this positive energy. And then part of it is making sure our values are that brands are getting insane outcomes from using this, right? And like a lot of that, like you said before, it's like, well, who are we targeting? I'm positive that if a brand meets a certain checklist of 4 qualities, that they will absolutely rip it. We haven't been asking people. Well, it's some combination of like GMV, which I don't know exactly what it is yet. It's like, existing abandonment revenue. Probably, they need a certain email list size to like make it sort of work. And we're trying to, we're going to start asking these questions before every sales call, just so that we can watch what happens. We've very recently gotten visibility into how all this is working for people. And if we just paired it with, some basic indicators. Basically, I have always known that based upon how our pricing works, the larger the brands that use this, the better they will do. The question is, where is the line for being able to go to somebody and say, this is probably going to work for you. This is definitely going to work for you. This is going to be the best thing you've done, or this is not going to work for you. So I know that it's just, we don't know where it is yet, right? And in definitely like 4 to 6 weeks we will, which is great.
But that right there, and going back to that first question, is can you be too early? Is if you can't answer that question, then yes, you're too early. That's a very clear indicator, right?
So, well, as we have 3 partner employees, but I think I take the blame. We were just wrong about it. I thought that Shopify Plus meant something that I was wrong about.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I think just Shopify Plus.
Then.
Yeah. No, but I think Shopify Plus is just, it's like the pyramid. The bottom part of the pyramid is just smaller brands than we realized. Just when we sit there looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely an error. I don't think it changes anything that we're doing necessarily, other than acknowledging that we need to just focus on the larger brands and the vendors above Shopify and all that stuff, and make
that
sure
number can change. Like that's a number
Right.
that's allowed to change, and that kind of dovetails right back into, as your program grows, your key partners will become clear, because you'll have an ICP that your product starts at. When I was at Signified, our ICP was very different back then from when it was when I left. And that's what really started clarifying what partners we should work with and who we should go to market with and what eggs we're putting in what baskets. So you should always have an idea of who your ICP is, and then if that changes, being really clear on communicating that.
Yeah. And we will be. So last but not least, when we're talking about partner-led org, like what are we talking about for, let's say, percentage of 2024 ARR contribution from the partner org?
Yeah, so I think what we're looking at right now, the three of us want to sign on to, is about 60% of retention.com's revenue coming in through our partners. And there's a lot of moving parts that allow us to be comfortable with that number, because I feel like some of the partner managers right now are like, are you serious? Because and here's the thing, I've seen 25%, I've seen 30%, I've seen 40% even with partnerships. But to go above half of business coming in from a partner team, a couple things really need to be in place. One of them is you need to have a really clear idea and a really good book of business in your partner space. That means that you need to be feeding into those partners. And this is the part that I think people forget, is those partners need to be getting leads from your team. And that's a little tricky on the tech side, but there's plenty of ways to do it. And it's things that we're prioritizing first, is we need to make sure we're getting business to our partners, because otherwise how are we going to continuously expect them to bring us business if we're not also putting back in that pot and we're driving mutual value for each other? We need to have a really strong go-to-market plan together, right? Like, we need to be built into those sales decks, into those discoveries, and we need every person on their team to understand the value that we drive and which clients we drive that to. So there's a lot of work being done on our end of educating and ensuring that we're driving really effective business back and forth with our key partners. But also, if you don't have the support internally, you're never going to get to that point. And this is a partner-led organization. One of the reasons that I joined here, and I think the reasons that Alex and Albert have come on board, and hopefully a couple more folks soon enough, is that there's this consistent call from leadership, from you and from Diana and from everyone else in leadership, that partnerships is really important. We don't know how to do it. We're going to hire the people that know how to do it best. And so being given free rein to build a best-in-class partner program, being given budget, and then being given support by our leadership to do that, is what allows us to be able to sign on to saying that more than half of our company's revenue should be coming from our team. And that's what makes all of us confident that we'll be successful in that, because we have the actual support of leadership to build a partner-led org.
Megan Blissick, you have my support.
Yay!
This was such a great talk. Thank you so much for chatting with me. Where can people find you and sort of follow what you're doing or whatever?
I am obscenely active on LinkedIn, so
you and me both. You and me both.
Oh, trust me, I know. Plenty of people tell me all the time. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Megan Blissick. I don't do Twitter. That is a hellscape that I will never enter.
Yeah, I'm about to jump in right now, and I'm dreading it. But unfortunately, I agree with the case that I need to be on it. You know.
I agree that you have to be there. Yeah. I love that I don't have to.
Yes.
So. And then also, if you're in New York, we host a monthly happy hour for the partner community, get together, hang out with some friends. So shoot me a note if you want an invite. We'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Megan. And I hope to be talking to you next year about how you just racked up 60% of our revenue.
Oh my gosh, I hope to be on a boat this time next year.
Yeah. You will be. Come down to Austin. I'll take you on a boat anytime.
I'm coming soon, I swear.
All right.